Joseph Parker's next fight will be against fellow New Zealander Solomon Homono. And I'm sure I'm butchering that name, so forgive me for that, but that's how I'm going to pronounce it. And that fight will take place on July 21st, I believe. Let me just double check. I think it's July 21st. It is indeed July 21st. But the word on the grapevine is, and by the way, I think you'll get past Solomon Homono without too much trouble. Homono is an athlete. He is in shape like the champ, but he's not a particularly great fighter. He is 40 years old. Don't think Joseph Parker's going to have too many issues there. But as I say, the word on the grapevine is that there are plans to have Joseph Parker fly over to the UK and fight later on this year on an Anthony Joshua undercard. And again, Joshua has to get past Dominic Breazeale, who I do believe is going to, come and try and win against Joshua. He may not be as good as Joshua in terms of skills, conditioning, and all that type of stuff, but I do believe he's a more confident character than Charles Martin. He's more experienced. He's got a better amateur background than Charles Martin, and he's proven that he does have heart even as a professional. He proved it in the Amir Mansour fight. So that fight might be interesting while it lasts, the Joshua-Dominic Breazeale fight. I think Breazeale will try and stick it on Joshua for as long as it goes. But assuming Joshua gets past that, and I'm very sure Joseph Parker will get past Homono, then we could see Parker in the UK on an Anthony Joshua undercard. Who Anthony Joshua will be fighting in that fight, we don't know. But that will definitely be an interesting situation, because Joseph Parker has been fighting in New Zealand for the past couple years now. He hasn't stepped outside. I think he might have had 1 or 2 fights outside New Zealand. I think he fought in America once or twice. But other than that, he's been fighting in New Zealand, which has limited the amount of exposure he's been getting. And him fighting on an Anthony Joshua card, that would get him a massive amount of exposure. And it's obviously designed to do so. If this rumor does actually turn out to be true, it's obviously being designed to do so they can build the Anthony Joshua Joseph Parker fight into a big Eddie Hearn pay-per-view bonanza. So who will he fight on the undercard? I'd be very, very interested to know, because he has the mandatory position now. So it's unlikely they're going to put him in there with anybody too dangerous, because he don't want to lose and end up forfeiting his mandatory position. So it's likely going to be somebody that is designed to maybe take Parker a few rounds, but ultimately make him look good so they can sell this Joshua fight. So let me know what you think, people. Do you think Joseph Parker's ready? He's going to have at least, as I say, 2 fights before facing Joshua, maybe 3 or 4 fights. That mandatory will be called, I believe, in November, in terms of the negotiations have to begin. I believe that's when the IBF are going to call it. So he's got some time by then and may be able to fit in, a few more fights. So let me know what you think, people. Is this rumor true? Do you have any more information about this rumor? And do you have any information about the situation with Parker and his current promoter, Duco Events? Because I've always felt that he needs to leave those guys. And as far as I was aware, his contract with Duco Events is nearly up, unless he signed a new contract. To my understanding, either the Takam fight or this fight against Homano will be his last fight under contract of Duco Events. And then he should be a free agent. Correct me if I'm wrong. If there's any people out there from New Zealand, let me know, educate me on the promotional situation right now of Joseph Parker. I think it would be great if he signed with a UK promoter, because the heavyweight scene in the UK is absolutely buzzing right now. So you sign him up with Matchroom, Eddie Hearn. Somebody said to me, he shouldn't sign up with Eddie Hearn. That would make the Joshua fight more difficult. No, what? It would make the Joshua fight easier. Oh no, he'd try and keep them away from each other. No, he wouldn't. Why the hell would he do that? Do you know how much money a Parker-Joshua fight could make? He's not going to keep Parker away from Joshua. He's going to make them fight. He's going to build him up separately, and then he's going to make them fight. Just the same way that he's doing with Dillian Whyte. You know, Eddie Hearn addressed this himself. Somebody apparently on Twitter said the same to him. They said, well, that's the Joshua Dillian Whyte fight out the window then, because you signed Whyte now. No, it makes the Joshua Dillian Whyte fight far more realistic and easier to make. I don't know what people's logic is baffling sometimes. So yeah, if Parker was to sign to Eddie Hearn, I mean, the Joshua Parker fight is going to happen anyway, regardless, because Parker is mandatory. But I think it would make more money if Eddie Hearn had signed Joseph Parker, because he'd be putting all his effort into promoting Parker, getting his opponents for him, putting him on big shows, this, that, and the other. You know, he'd definitely be able to raise his profile in a pretty short space of time and really build him up as this rival for Joshua. So, you know, have him in the Sky Sports studio talking this, that, and the other. Give him the full red carpet treatment. Treat him as a Matchroom guy. Or maybe they'll do a collaboration between, you know, co-promotions between Duco Events and Matchroom. I don't know. But I've always felt that Parker needs to get out of New Zealand to really get his career rocking and rolling and to get his paychecks where they need to be. I like to see fighters get paid what they're supposed to get paid. I don't want to see Parker end up like David Tua. And just like David Tua, Parker's trained, I don't know if he's managed, but he's certainly trained by Kevin Barry. And for those of you who don't know the situation that went down between Kevin Barry and David Tua, there was money involved, legal disputes, and what have you. Tua claiming that Kevin Barry robbed him or ripped him off, etc., etc. I would hate to see the same thing happen to Joseph Parker. I hope he's getting the type of money that his talent and his effort deserves. But, you know, being over there in New Zealand, it's not a big enough market. He's got to get out and he's got to be fighting in a much bigger market to make that type of money. And I hope he does so. So anyway, people, I'm going to end this video right here. Let me know what you think about everything I've raised in this video. It's your boy Hatman, I'm out.